All right, good morning and evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Middle Age Gaming Podcast hosted by Antoine, Adam, and myself, Kriyan. We're very glad for you to be here this morning. It is the number one podcast for gamers with no time, but just enough time to play the games that you love and care about. Today, we are trying a very new format. I've gotten this in my other podcast as well, is that you guys are busy. Everyone is busy. We found out that podcast research has said 37 minutes is the ideal time. So we're going to be reducing the time of this podcast for a month. And as always, right, as we told you guys last week, you can always tweet at us, right? Twitter.com/gamingage, Twitter.com/Korean Padiachi, or Twitter.com/Ladisai, LHDSAI. Let us know, hey guys, we want an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, or potentially speaking, we could do two shows in the morning and record them and then just release them over the week, right? That's a possibility. So the way it's going to work as usual is we're going to do games we have been playing. It's going to be a little bit shorter. We're going to do our sponsorship read by Antoine as usual because he did such an amazing job the first time. Then we get into today's topic, which is Antoine's baby, hidden gaming series, and lots to talk about there. And then we'll be done. 37 minutes, maybe 40 minutes at most. That will be it. So as usual, let's start with Adam and the game he has been playing.
Okay, it's pretty much the same games for shoot, what do you call it? Dot hack. I finished the third game, so now I'm just kind of unlocking some special weapons before I move on to the fourth and final one, which is supposed to be shorter. So maybe I'll finish this week. If not, definitely next week. And on the stream, I've started Carrion, which is a 2D kind of pixel art game where you play as the monster and you are trying to escape from the government lab that has been housing you. So I'm really enjoying that. It's really cool. It took me a little while to. It doesn't really give you too much of a tutorial, so there are some things you just kind of figure out on the fly. For example, you get abilities as you go, kind of like you do in any kind of Metroidvania, but it's based on your biomass. So the bigger you are, you have different abilities than when you're smaller. So that I didn't realize quite at first, but figured it out, and yeah, it's super fun. I'm really enjoying it.
How bloody is that?
It's pixel art, so I mean, it's not super gory, but yeah, it's pretty bloody. Like if you walk into a room and it starts off all clean, and by the end there's like just red all over the screen, so it can be pretty bloody.
So like, what's the objective? Is this like to destroy humanity or something like that?
And so far, it's just to get out of the facility and escape. So
Okay,
yeah.
nice. Antoine, what about you?
Well, as usual, I'm playing Fuga, and I'm not gonna talking. Sorry, I'm not gonna talk about it. I have to get into it. Sorry. So I'm not gonna talk about it simply because I talked about it extensively in the previous podcast, and I'm gonna talk about it extensively in the next part of the show, and I'm gonna say extensively about it next week when I finish the game once, maybe twice. So if you want to know what I'm thinking about the game so far, just listen to the first 20 minutes of the previous show, something like this.
Okay, and then it's on to me. I have been playing Starlight Valley, which I stopped this week because I was a bit. I got into a stage where I guess there's two sort of things you get to do. Is you get to grind out friendships, which sounds weird, but every character can go up to level 10, and I've unlocked every single character except Ariel and Eric. I believe was the prince's name. Adam told me last week. Um, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And the grinding out friendships was just bothering me a bit. And there wasn't like in these sort of games, I like feedback loops. And when the loops start to become a long time to get anything back, I just like, okay, I'm over this for the moment. Even though there's DLC, I'm just gonna stop saying DLC. There's new content coming out this month with Toy Story. So that's done. I gave the Ascent a try, which was a cyberpunkish game right when 2077 came out. I hit a mission. It was too hard. I'm like, no, screw this. Goodbye. So that's done as well. So I'm in this mode of trying out new stuff. I went back to Warhammer Mechanicus and I realized how hard it is. So I tried to restart from my original save. And I guess that's the part of about being a middle aged gamer is when you take a break from games, it's really hard to get back into it. So I just restarted the whole game again, and that is what I will be playing for the foreseeable future. until I take a vacation in December, and then I'll go back to Switch gaming. Played Valheim, of course. That's going well, though it's very easy to die. I did not play Sniper Elite this week, and Adam and I did not stream. What did we not stream? No Man's Sky on the weekend because he was getting a massage and enjoying himself, I would imagine. Yep, and that is it for us. So, before we get started with the topic, there's our lovely spam comment. Good to see it works. Antoine, tell us about our wonderful sponsor who is doing a really cool app.
Of course. So once again, we are not talking about NordVPN again. Since if all of you followed our podcast last week, you would know that our sponsor is Newsly. So what is it? It's an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics that you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a very natural voice. And I'm not gonna repeat the same joke again. Yeah, I know my voice is not super natural, so deal with it. So the point is that the entire web become listenable for the first time all in one place. You can browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. So you stop scrolling and you start listening. You can follow any topic as specific as you want: sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin. Last week I mentioned the Kardashians, so this week I'm gonna mention about, you want to listen all about the results of the Quebec election. Hey, go on Newsly. So it will find you the latest article about it and read them to you aloud. Then, of course, they have podcasts as well, exploring trending podcasts from over 80 countries. Our podcast is there too, and we started using Newsly as our default podcast app. And as a cherry on top, as usual, they even have digital radio. So our advice is download and use Newsly for free now on www.newsly.me or from the link in description on YouTube, of course, and use our promo code Middle Gaming in one word, Middle Gaming, that we will also put in description and receive a 1 month free premium subscription. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Newsly, for sponsoring us. We appreciate the support. And don't forget, right, you can check us out on the Newsly app. Just scroll through podcasts, hit the featured button, and you will find us, as well as a bunch of other really, really great podcasts we'd highly encourage you to listen to. Thanks, everyone. And let's move on to today's topic, which is hidden gaming series. And we'll let Antoine take us off and explain his reasoning for choosing this topic, why he chose it, what his thinking was about, like what his definition of a hidden gaming series is, because I had a bit of trouble trying to figure mine out. Antoine, tell us about this topic.
Maybe we should have talked about it before the podcast. And if you had trouble
Alright.
understanding it's basically an extension. We did a podcast months ago, and I don't remember, about hidden gems, which are games which are fantastic, but unfortunately, very much unknown to the public because of lack of marketing, or they just can't compete. It's usually independent games which can't compete to AAA, and they get lost in the noise of so many games coming out. And the point of the podcast we did was to make you discover these hidden gems. In this trend, I discovered on the Xbox Game Pass a few weeks ago Fuga Melodies of Steel, which is an excellent game that I'm really enjoying. And I discovered that it was part of a series of 3-4 games called the Little Tale Bronx series. Little Tale series or Little Tale Bronx. I don't remember exactly the stuff, but that's how I realized that there's a series which apparently some people knows, but I ask around, nobody knows around here, at least not in this podcast and around me. And we are big players in my community, but nobody knew about it. And this series really blew me out just on this game Fuga, and I spent a lot of time reading the lore of the games. It's fantastic. So I wanted to talk about this, this series that, well, nobody knows, and they really, really deserve to be discovered. And if you want, I can start with my series, of course.
Yeah, I'd heard of Tales Concerto, but I didn't realize that there were more games in the series. I also thought it was really interesting because, funnily enough, I was looking up this game and I discovered that actually it's made by the same company that makes Dot Hack. So I was like, wait, what?
Cool.
Yeah, it's just a weird coincidence.
You mean what's the name of the CyberConnect?
CyberConnect 2, yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, so yeah, my series, which is a Little Tale series, is a baby of CyberConnect 2. They have always been worked on it, and Fuga is actually done, developed, and published by themselves. I think before they had help on the publishing side, but here they did it by themselves. Series which I don't know at all, and I see that it was so. You said you knew about Tel Concerto. It was a
Yeah, but that was
1998.
original like PlayStation release. That was a long time ago.
Exactly, 1998 PlayStation. After that, long time after that, 12 years after, 2010, you have Solato Robo, Red the Hunter on DS. After that, you had an app game called Little Tale Story in 2014 on the Android and iOS, free apparently. And now 2021. So last year you had Fuga Melodies of Steel, and I don't know exactly when the release will be, but you have Steel 2, so Fuga 2, which gonna come out. No idea actually. I should check that and I should check that out. But which gonna come out because apparently it's a very popular, at least I hope, because I didn't knew about it before it appears on the Xbox, but released on all console. Excellent, excellent game that I just can't help but recommend over and over. So if you have any questions, that's right now, because I talked about the gameplay, about Fuga and its gameplay in the previous podcast. So I want to try to avoid keep talking about it. Here, I really want to talk about what's attracting me in this. And first of all, you will see on Adam's screen, it's extremely pretty, it's anime-like, and the conceptor really is not a surprise, but they were really inspired by Ghibli Studio. So you know all they mentioned Nausicaa, Howl's Moving Castle, all this kind of artwork, which works very well. And why it really, really talked to me is, you may know if you listen to this podcast, but I really like post-apocalyptic theme in general. And when I started playing, I was thinking, no, it's just another world, like, you know, in a Japanese fantasy world. And no, absolutely not. No, it starts in our world right now. And humans discover something called Juno, which are I still have some hard time picture it, but imagine a deck of cards which contains nearly omniscient type of technology. Yes, you can have everything from creating crystals which solve the energy problem to creating what they called titano machina, which are size like monsters weapon. To It has everything in it. If you want to live a peaceful life and live in a Star Trek world, you could. Of course, humans wouldn't, because there are a very limited amount of Juno. Some country, greedily keep it, which will start World War III, which will start something called a reset, which will destroy the world entirely. Bye bye human race. It's completely wiped out. Which will blow out the Earth and make the continent float. So when you are playing the Little Tale series, you are playing on a floating continent, which actually the one you are playing on in this game in Fuga is Gasco, but in the game later, previously, but later in the timeline, try to keep on, is called a Shepherd, but basically it's France. Just telling you, because they never mentioned country. They say that one of the ace Junos, one of the main Juno is German, and that the country next to it, being very jealous not to have an ace Juno, developed their own technology just to prove that no, we don't need to rely on Juno. We can do it by ourselves, and developed a weapon which basically will start the war. They will spark the war with this. Like arms race, technically. They have a nuclear weapon. I can do better. That's what sparks the war. So that's the whole lore is fantastic, and I only know Fuga, which they base the timeline, I think, on Tel Concerto, which is if you want to say Tel Concerto is year zero, the end of the world is minus 3,000 years old. And Fuga in this story is 1,000 years old in the past. So it's prequel to all the other game. Tel Concerto, the Red Hunter. I'm not gonna try the English name again. But yeah, so that's it. And so much to say, so little time that I'm lost in thought. The art is fantastic. The lore is, as I was saying to the lads, I would like to make a video just on the lore of this series because it's really really good, and I just don't understand how I missed it. So yeah, you guys, if you have questions, I will have to limit myself to now because it's already 9:20 and there's only 17 minutes left on this very short podcast.
No questions for me. I mean, you answered everything I wanted to know. I mean, my primary question was going to be, why has it been hidden? I mean, did you ever figure out a specific reason for that?
Why that is it has been hidden?
Mhm.
I don't know. Like Adam, knowing Tel Concerto, I'm thinking maybe it was well distributed in the US, not in Europe. I had a PlayStation from start, PlayStation 1. So, and I was an avid player of it. So, this kind of stuff, I think I would have seen it, like all the I loved RPG at the time. And this would be qualified more tactics RPG. I would have seen it pass, like all the Ocean. What's the name? Like all the Final Fantasy
Star Ocean?
Star Ocean. Yeah, well, all this kind of game. I was very aware of it, so I don't know why this one I missed. Maybe it was badly distributed in Europe. I don't know. Anyway, I missed it, and it's. I think I would have been very happy with it. I didn't mention, but if you see the characters, they are talking a lot about society issues through these characters. As you can see, there's cats and dogs, people. I said humanity was wiped out 3,000 years ago, and an AI which was developed through Juno recreated a different kind of humanity or species through the canine and feline echo, which basically it's feline and neko for cat in Japanese. And there's a lot of racism between the two species. In Fuga, you have the invading army, which are the German, the Burman, which are mainly dog species, and cats living in there. It's a very militaristic country, and cats living in this country are very oppressed, persecuted. While in Gascon, so in France, basically, it's a very open society where race is not really an issue. I read that in Tel Concerto, I think it was a world mainly the canine, so the dog race was a major race, and the cats were oppressed again at the time. And I think the black cats, especially the black cat group, is trying to make themselves heard. So very much a topic at the time, and I think it's still a good topic for today. And within the timeline, get reversed. The cat, or at least through their kind of lion tribe, they evolve kind of a lion tribe and a wolf tribe. The lion take over and nearly wipe out the dog or wolf tribe. Lots of racist topic in this. So you can talk about everything through video game.
Okay, let's move on to Adam. What is your hidden series?
For me, it would be Origami. I don't know how hidden it is. I kind of struggled with this because it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know this series, so it doesn't seem hidden to me, but I don't know if other people are aware of these series. So I was kind of went through a couple different choices and wasn't quite sure what to pick. And then finally, I just kind of settled on this one because this one's a bit more of an indie title. So Origami is a kind of a Tenchu stealth assassin style game. You're trying to sneak through the shadows, and you can use some shadow magic to complete your goals. There's actually 2 games in the series so far. That was one of the other things that I kind of struggled with. There's a lot of the games that I'm kind of like, oh, this is kind of a hidden gem, but there's only one, so it's not a series. So, yeah. So in the first one, it came out. Let me see. I have all my details here. Came out in 2016, and then the sequel came out last year, 2021. Is both developed and published by Linceworks. It's on the PlayStation. It's on Steam. I think it's on Xbox and Switch as well. I know it's on Switch. I think it's on Xbox as well, so I think you can pretty much get it anywhere. So yeah, you're tasked with missions. You're put in some kind of castle type thing. If you hide in the shadows, you can't really be seen. You can teleport between shadows using shadow magic. You have to take out enemies. And one of the things that's really nice about it is that it does have co-op. The original game has 2-player co-op, and the sequel has 3-player co-op. So you can actually get 3 people playing together to get through these missions. It can be a bit tedious if you want to get the highest ranks on some of the missions, because usually if you want to get the best rank, there's usually one right way to do it as opposed to having multiple different ways to accomplish your task. So that can be a bit tedious. But in the original game, they have custom levels where you can actually build your own levels, and then you can upload them, and other people can play your levels and you can play other people's levels. So it gives it a lot of replay value. I don't think the second game has that feature, which is disappointing. But yeah, it's just a really cool little feature that you can use if you want to continue playing with other people. And yeah, I know a lot of people really enjoyed old school stealth games like Tenchu. I know in Assassin's Creed, a lot of people are kind of lamenting the changes in the way they've done gameplay, where they've gone kind of more for these RPG mechanics, and kind of wish that they went back to the old style of Assassin's Creed, where it was more stealth based. And so for people looking to scratch that itch, I think this is a good choice. So if you haven't heard of it, go ahead and check it out.
I have a question. Like, how difficult is this? Because one thing I've always struggled with stealth games like Splinter Cell as well was like, if you're in this chain of infiltrating a base, you make one mistake, you got to start all over again. So how difficult is it?
You wouldn't have to start all over again. It's not. I don't think it's too difficult, but like I said, if you want to get the best rank, then that can be kind of difficult to do. But if you're just like, I just want to finish the mission, it's not too bad.
Okay. And then what do you think this is a hidden series? Or what do you think not many people know about this?
I would say probably just because it's not a big AAA kind of thing, and stealth is kind of a niche genre as it is. So, and then as it is, we've seen a lot of bigger games that have been incorporating stealth a lot. So I think as we've gone on, you kind of had like, Assassin's Creed was more of the stealth game, or Metal Gear Solid is more of a stealth game, and we've seen those kind of games incorporating more non-stealth elements, more RPG-ish elements into them as they've gone along, or more action adventure kind of elements. And we've seen games that are traditionally more action adventure starting to incorporate more stealth things. So I think there's kind of been a tendency for games to kind of try to be bigger, but then incorporate things from other stuff. And so I think this one just kind of flew under the radar, as it was just a smaller indie title and just didn't have the media coverage that maybe a larger title would have. So
And if I may, that's a really good choice because I didn't use this and now I'm really interested in playing the. Question: if you haven't played the first one, can you play the second one? Because I guess the 2016 look a bit tired, of course. It's starting to get a bit old. Do you need to play the first one if you want to play the second one? Or?
no, I think the stories are different. In the first one, you're summoned by some girl to, I think, protect her village, and I think in the second one, I don't think you're the same character. You might be, but I don't think you are. But you're trying to save others of your kind. So the 2 stories I don't think are related.
So I'm gonna check out that one definitely. Number 2, at least the 2021 one. Thanks, Adam.
No problem.
Yeah, I remember one of these. I have one of them because they were on the Epic Games free games list. So I have one of these. I think I bought it one on Steam at one point as well. So it's definitely something. And I've never played this because I've just never known too much about it, and I was always worried about hitting that difficulty wall and just saying, okay, no, thank you, and filing it onto my Steam list of too hard. But good. So Adam, you finished both of these?
No. I have a little bit of the first one, but not the second one.
But do you own the second one?
I don't think I do. I have the first one. I don't think I have the second one. The first one I got on, I think it was free on PlayStation Plus one time. But yeah, I don't think I have the second one.
So this is in the backbreaking backlog.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, and with that, we'll talk about my game. And I'll also, as I confessed, to having difficulty with this topic as well. Just because I think there's such a wide variety of games that could be classified as hidden series. And the first thing that came to my mind was Civilization. I'm like, yeah, not many people play turn-based strategy from the early 90s back in the day. And I think there's also times where, this game is series of this genre is more popular. So Civilization came to mind. I'm like, oh man, I'd love to talk about this because I'm a big fan of Civilization. I wanted to thing that came to mind was like Virtua Cop from the arcade, right? Or House of the Dead, right? Again, another sort of somewhat hidden gaming series. And I'm like, yeah, and you can play that on PC, but playing that sort of stuff with a mouse and keyboard just kind of sucks. So, yeah, I couldn't like, am I just a mainstream gamer? I'm like, pretty much I'm a mainstream gamer. But what came to mind for me was the Orcs Must Die series, which you're now watching. If you're watching the YouTube channel, yes, and you've probably seen me talk about this at least once before on the podcast. How I came at this was that Orcs Must Die 1 came out. Well, people liked it. It was wonderful. Orcs Must Die 2 came out. People liked it. It was wonderful. But then they signed an exclusive deal with Stadia for Orcs Must Die 3, which is why it disappeared off everybody's radar. And as you guys know, Stadia is now done for it. The rumors were there. Now companies are like, oh my God, we've been developing stuff for Stadia. I believe I think it was CD Projekt Red was developing their own Stadia game that now they're like, oh, what are we going to do? So this game became hidden. And that was my definition of my take on today's topic was this game became hidden because it went exclusive onto a streaming only platform, only available in the United States and probably Canada as well. But to the rest of the world, NMI in Taiwan or South Africa, no. If something was on Stadia, it was just in the 360 million people. I'm not sure how many people live in Canada, but in North America, pretty much that is where you got to use Google Stadia. So it's a wonderful game. It is a game that shines when you want to play with your friends, be it couch co-op or online multiplayer. It's also a game that works really well across distances as well. So Taiwan to South Africa or Canada to France, right? If you have horrible connections, it's okay, 200 millisecond, because the latency between you and the other player doesn't matter. It's all done through, you're fighting against it's a PvE game, not a PvP game. It's something that I think was also hidden in the sense is that people look this just looks like a tower defense game, but there's so many layers to this as to, especially with number 3, there's different weapons you get to use as well, which was the original games you just had one weapon. There's a whole bunch of traps as well, and all these traps have different upgrades that you can use in number 3. So it's sort of like you take the exponent of all this stuff and you have a lot of different combinations. There's an endless mode, there's a survival mode. In this number 3 as well, you have the new characters and you have old characters. One guy looks like a Legolas, the other guy looks like a Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, right? So you don't just have these two characters, you have two older characters as well. And it's just, and the number 3, they've not innovated. Like some people, they like innovation, like, oh my God, I must play something new. Orcs Must Die 3, they do what I like, which is just making all the existing systems better. And which is why I enjoyed it so much. It's a game that my friend Hans and I, when we played together, we just like, whenever the game is like, oh my God, Orcs Must Die is coming out, let's play it. because, and he's not a big fan of repetition in games, but this is a game that he likes just because it's relaxing, right? You get to chat with your friends, Adam, right? You sit down. It's not a lot of thinking involved, right? It's just play games, talk about your day. All right, good night, Adam. See you tomorrow. That sort of stuff, right? So this is my choice for a hidden gaming series. Highly encouraging it. I will say, even if you don't like this style of game, it's definitely a game if you have somebody to play with, be it your kids, your friend from work that you don't really talk to too much, but he's a gamer friend. Sure, go for it. I'd highly encourage everyone to give it a go.
Yeah, and it looks like it's out on different platforms now, so don't have to worry about that Stadia
Issue. Yeah.
issue.
Yes. Yes. No. Their exclusivity deal died, and they were on Steam, and yeah, I got it. It's, I believe now you can get it. You probably get it on sale come the Halloween sale or the fall sale, probably for like $10 at most.
Nice.
It's a good price. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, any final thoughts on the Hidden series?
Not for me.
Well, as usual, if you have some hidden series that you really, really liked, please mention it in the comments. We want to play it, especially if you think
True.
they are very good. We want to play it and talk about it on the podcast occasionally.
Indeed. Okay, so we're getting better about planning these episodes. So next week, we already know, next week is my turn. And you guys know I'm a big hardware person. I love gadgets and electronics and lots of things. Next week is going to be an exclusive hardware episode where the guys are going to talk about gaming accessories or electronic accessories that make your work from home or gaming setup more useful, more easy. It's not going to be stuff that we have necessarily bought. It might be stuff that we want to buy. Like I have a huge list on my browser, which is to buy, which is probably about 45 things that I want to buy at some point because I'm a horrible materialistic person. But yeah. So again, if you have ideas for that, you can always email us and we might include that in the show, right? middleagegaming2020@gmail.com. I already have some things that I want to talk about because I'm looking at my desk setup with wires everywhere and too much stuff in one place. But yeah, how to make your gaming setups better, your life better, clean your desk setup so you can have that nice clean desktop look. That is the topic for next week. And yeah, with that, Adam, are you streaming this week?
Yeah, I'll be streaming on Tuesday, and I will be continuing with Carrion.
Carrion. So keep an eye out for Carrion. If you someone who's interested in it, like I watched Adam's stream a bit, it's pretty cool as always. Right? Always nice to watch that sort of stuff. But if you don't know what Carrion is, come check out Adam's stream. And yeah, we will see you guys next week Wednesday at the same time. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the new shorter format.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Bye-bye.